So we'll start with the recent stuff. What's we got the back to the 2000s tour, and Union Underground is seemingly back. And
So, yeah,
I say
seemingly.
Um,
Yeah, I have done a couple of false returns. Not false, but not long lived.
right.
Yeah. But I mean, not official. I mean, this is kind of an official one. So before we were just kind of doing festivals here and there and stuff, and people kind of misinterpret that as like a comeback,
Right.
quote unquote, But yeah.
Yeah.
So this is an official return.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because you can't know, like you can make one small announcement. You can just change your profile picture on Facebook, and it's everything.
Yeah.
You got a new album coming out tomorrow. Like, what's happening?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, after this tour, what's the rest of the year and 2025 looking like?
So there are some interesting things about 2025, but of course, unannounced. I cannot talk about it yet.
Right.
But 2025's looking to be pretty insane. But this year, we're going to do this run and probably take the rest of the summer. We might do a couple of one-offs in the summer, but take the rest of the summer to finish off, some of the new stuff. And we are doing a UK run in November,
Okay.
which also is not announced yet, but will be within a few days. So, we're good. So that's really, and we'll probably do a couple of one-off festivals too this year, but not too much to distract from finishing up, the new record.
Okay.
Record meaning we're not sure even whether we're gonna release singles for a bit and then a final, or do it all at once. It's like it's become such a different animal that there's a lot of options there. So
yeah,
we're still kind of figuring that part out. That part I don't care about yet. I just want to get the songs done.
Right. Yeah, I mean, just new music in general will be pretty awesome to have after all this time.
Yeah. Well, 20 years between records is not that crazy.
No, because I mean, it feels like a blink of an eye, honestly. But
yeah, we'll put one out. We'll put one out this year, and then maybe again in like 2035. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, hopefully not that long.
Yeah,
I hope anyway. That's just me.
Right on.
So let's take it back a bit then, because obviously the music industry has changed so much since the first album came out, and you had a respectable level of success at the time, and then you had the theme song for Monday Night Raw for 4 years, and that's a pretty cool exposure. And then, but in the middle of all that, what happened?
Well, sometimes we just kind of hit the wall, I think, with creatively, which sounds funny because we're only working on our second record, but what people don't realize, like, you're together, so you can be with the same camp for a long time before your first record comes out.
Right.
So, I think working on the second record, we just kind of, I think with all the people involved, we just got a little burned out and just kind of creatively, it just wasn't working out. I mean, the second record did not sound at all like something I wanted to release as a Union Underground record. And we were on the front end of it, and I just got a bit disenchanted with how it was all going down. So I mean, and regardless of business and internal things and all that stuff, just the music was not something that I think Union Underground fans would have wanted to hear,
Okay.
you know, and that's the core of it. So, yeah. So, I always had the intention of revisiting what I thought would be a proper Union Underground record. So I'm excited about that.
Absolutely, dude. Because I mean, I've been a fan since 2001, so uh,
Awesome.
for me, it was one of those things. Like when Across the Nation came out, I was like, "Fuck yeah!" Like I already have the CD, you know. So I was like, "Cool!" Like they're working on new stuff, and then it
Yeah.
never came. So, um, but then you started Cult of Follow,
Yep.
and that's another pretty awesome project of yours. And is that kind of hiatus right now? Is that done?
No, not at all. Not at all. I mean, Cult follows, 100% active, and obviously, I'll take a break from the studio stuff with Cult for a bit to, focus on Union this year. But there is a Cult follow single coming out shortly, and that project will always be active. It's just not even, you know, yeah, not even a question.
Okay.
So, and Union will always be like when I can focus on it and when I think that the music is right, you know. It's really it's nice to have two different projects like that where I can kind of, and they're somewhat similar, I mean, obviously when it comes, from the same brain, right? I mean, there's going to be some similarities, but I get to express very different things with those two projects, which is cool. So um, it's nice to have both of them to um, you know spread myself so thin that I'm a madman at some point. Yeah,
Speaking of which, there was another project, Into the Fire.
yeah. So Tim, who was in Soil, Tim and Adam, um, Tim King, Adam Zadell from Soil, we are in Into the Fire as well, and so that's kind of like a side project of ours where when we have time for it, we let's tour around with it. We had a great we released a great EP a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's been a few years now, um, and we're actually sitting on a fantastic song that I hope we put out sometime this year. So that's active as well, but it's kind of whenever we can get around to it.
Right.
But it's really fun to work with those guys because we've all been friends for years and share a lot of the same influences and passions.
Right. And now you guys are going on tour together.
Yeah, yeah, it's a big band camp road trip.
It's like a big Ozfest reunion, you know.
It is. It kind of has that tone to it, which is why we kind of we're couching it like that, and with the press release because it really does feel like that to us internally. You know that kind of taking that feeling from that era and the sounds from that era, really, because we're all focusing on the first records, and the other bands on the tour have released several records over the years, obviously, but everyone's going to kind of focus on those initial records that launched their careers,
Right.
and of course, Pepper and whatever they're doing currently, but primarily it's that. So yeah, it does have that feel to it, which is fun, and people seem to be excited about it.
Oh yeah, man. um, so what are some bucket list things that you still have to check off?
Oh wow! Now, if that was my personal life, it would be like this would be a 2-hour podcast, right? But yeah, professionally for Union, just continuing. I'm very excited for people to hear new music, obviously, because it's for most people, I'm sure it seemed to be a bit of a unicorn
Yeah,
that was not attainable, you know. So that I mean, I'm really excited for people to hear new music, and bucket list wise, I don't know, man. I mean, I want to just continue releasing stuff, playing music live, allowing people to see us for as long as possible, as long as we can make it to the stage, you know.
absolutely, dude. Um, so between Union Underground and Cult to Follow, um, as kind of the head of both, um, what well, we'll just say it lyrically, like what lyrically would separate the two?
Um, Unions kind of um with Union, I kind of let just the music and the grooves and the kind of the tone of the piece of music to kind of dictate ideas, and just I'll just have quick just rants of madness that really don't make a lot of sense, and but feel right, and just that's kind of how I approach the Union stuff. With Cult of Follow, it's more it's a bit more personal. It's more life events translated into lyrics, and it's a little more from the heart, whereas Union Underground's just more from the head, you know. And those two things can be very different, you know.
Absolutely.
The madness of the head doesn't always match, the kindness of the heart, right?
Exactly. Especially in rock and roll, right?
Yeah, yeah.
um, so tell me about your beginnings a little bit. Tell me about before Union Underground and any bands or projects you had before, and what kind of led you into being a vocalist and things like that.
I was kind of a typical kid until I hit that, 12 years old mark where, I was fascinated by watching someone play guitar just live in a room with an acoustic guitar. And I was always into music, but I never had, any aspirations of like, of course, I'm 10. I mean, what kind of aspirations can you have?
Right.
But at 12, I was just kind of blown away by watching people play live music. And I was fascinated by the process. And, I got my first guitar, and my life just was the normal life of a kid was just done. I mean, I was in my room 12 hours a day just playing guitar for the next 10 years, you know? So, um, yeah, it just, and so from there, of course, I did all the kind of usual stuff as a teenager, like played backyard parties and, just goofy stuff with friends, like little cover bands and stuff. But then, 1998 or so, and I've always been a guitar player at heart. I mean, I didn't start singing. I mean, literally the vocals on Rebellion. I mean, I had only been singing for 2 years, you know, when we recorded that record. So before that, um, I was mainly a guitar player. And then by just kind of out of necessity, writing songs and stuff, I started recording vocals with the intention of finding a singer, right? But I was recording these demos, and finally, we just kind of, we kind of, why don't you just? I mean, we're trying to find someone that sounds like you on the demos. Like, it makes no sense,
Yeah.
But I never had that intention, you know. Guitar was my first passion, you know. So it just kind of developed that way. And you know, rest is history, as they say.
So did you do a lot of the writing in Union Underground, or was it just like the full band effort, or what was the
Yeah,
collaboration?
I mean, you know, the main writer, but me and my the original guitar player, we wrote some things together on that record as well. And so, you know, we co-wrote several things on that record. Now, Joss and John, um, Josh Mimolo and John Moyer, came along after most of all that stuff was written.
Okay.
And so, you know, they kind of came along once the whole project was kind of had a vision, and we had pretty much mapped out all the songs, um, with the exception, you know, of a few things that they contributed to, playing wise, you know, but writing wise, it was, you know, mainly me, and then I co-wrote some stuff with the guitar player.
Okay. Now I'm going to kind of circle back around to the bucket list thing, but in a different way. Who are some people that you would just absolutely love to collaborate with, whether it's a song, an EP, or just a live show?
Wow. God, man. I mean, my influences are so all over the place. Um, that is a good question.
There's no wrong answers, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, you know, because I would, I don't know. That's so across the board. I mean, because I really do have kind of eclectic influences. Um, I, I don't know as far as a collaboration. I've always been one of those guys that like, which is why I've never done a cover song all these years until recently. I put out a cover song just under my name, Bryan Scott, and which was fun because it was just kind of like an old family song that kind of meant something to the the family internally, and it was kind of fun. It's like, you know what, I recorded it, I might as well release it. Um, but I've always kind of been one of those guys that, like, I keep everything internal. Like, you know, I've never co-written except, you know, on some stuff with Rebellion. All the Cult Follow stuff has no co-writers. And that's just kind of, it's not really by design. It's just kind of by default. I mean, you know, so I've never really seeked that out. But, you know, now that you ask that question, I will have to contemplate that a bit, because I do like the idea of, you know, being influenced by other artists, you know, and I'm probably haven't been open to that enough. So that's something I'll have to work on.
I like that. Even though you didn't have a
An
direct
actual
answer,
answer.
I still like your response
Yeah.
to it. So, um, all right. Um, so you've done quite a bit of touring in your life. Where are the best tacos?
Well, I mean, being from San Antonio, Texas, I'm gonna have to go with hometown. Um, you know, it's hard to beat the food in the South when it comes to tacos, you know. Where are you from? Where are you at now?
I'm from LA originally, but I just moved to Florida in November, so I'm
Okay.
fresh over here. But I'm from the West Coast, and I lived in Vegas for 20 years and all that.
See, so you probably don't have access. There's a lot of great food, but you probably don't have, you know, access to the best tacos for sure. So
Not the same. It's
there's a
good, but
place,
not the same.
yeah, there's a place, you know, there's a place called La Palmita here in San Antonio, Texas, that I've been going to, you know, with my grandparents since I was 6 years old, right? So I would have to put that at the top of the list for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So next time I ever pass through San Antonio, I'll check it out.
Dude, yeah, leave me a DM. I'll let you know exactly where to go.
All right. Um, so for the fans, past and present, and soon to be, what do you say to them?
Past and present. Well, past, let me tell you, I've been amazed at the response to even doing this, it's a short run, it's 3 weeks. It's an intimate club run, setting things up for next year. And I'm really amazed at the response and, thank everyone so much for the constant and continued um, support. I mean, it's pretty amazing. And to future and fans, look forward to a lot of music being released and hopefully, you know, gain fans from new generations too that, have no idea that their parents listen to Union Underground, you know?
Hell yeah, man. Bryan, I appreciate your time, and I want to thank you for chatting with me, and I look forward to everything that you got going on, man. I
Thanks so much, Marcus.
hope to see you on the road, and can't wait to hear the new music, man.
Absolutely. Try to make it out to, we're not doing Florida through this run, but, you might have to make a road trip somewhere.
I'm okay with that.
All right.
All right, dude.
Right on.
Enjoy your next interview and take care, man.
Thank you.